Remember, they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password? Buick Envision 2021. Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking. Me too. Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yeah.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing well, Doc. Another weekend of great basketball action. Looking forward to all that's coming up as far as news and more basketball action this weekend. So it's been a good weekend.
Mike, and yourself?
Awesome week, Doc. Not only a lot of exciting basketball, but some news, some tidbits that CB and myself are excited to get out on the wire. So great week. Well, looks like Omicron is starting to at least timber off a little bit. Hopefully it'll continue that trend. Hopefully we'll get to the place we can get back to normal, but ready to get back into some HBCU basketball and other spring sports.
Yep.
I no longer know what normal is. I'm just going to be truthful about it. Move that aside. But great points, and it's good to hear both of y'all doing well. This is Dr. Ville inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As you know, I say welcome. Welcome to episode 232 of Inside HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast show that's covering the sporting HBCU of all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavell, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios, sending a student signal live to KCOA Short 30 AM studios with Texas Radio Hall of Fame Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let me go straight to Charles. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, let's go with the big news of the day as the Colonial Athletic Association announced.
You could just say CAA.
Oh, you're right. The CAA announced that Hampton University, Monmouth University, and Stony Brook University have accepted membership invitations to join the conference as of July 1st, 2022. We are pleased to welcome Hampton, Monmouth, and Stony Brook as the newest members of the CAA. CAA Commissioner Joe D'Antonio said all three institutions fit perfectly into the framework of the conference vision that calls for our membership to work together to advance nationally competitive athletic programs coupled with outstanding academic programs that empower student athletes as whole persons to strive at the highest level in every aspect of their lives. So that is a statement from the CAA.
Yeah, I got to watch the taping of the press conference. I will say it was interesting. I'll leave it at that. Mike Washington, what are your thoughts?
I think it's interesting. I think there's more to come with that announcement. I'll just leave it at that. So,
all right, no doubt. Well, with that being said, what's on your mind?
News of the day. That would make the assumption that I actually have some news. So, so you may have seen that Prairie View A&M, the band. There's lots of news, but let's talk about the band. There's a couple of band features here. The Prairie View A&M Marching Storm, the Marching Storm, to be featured in this network docuseries, aired last night on CW 39. That's the Chicago-based station. So it ordered its second series. The CW has actually its second series against or kind of chronicling the HBCU experience. Network has a green light. So 8 episodes are centered around the Prairie View A&M University Marching Band, the Marching Storm. So it debuted. Of course, it will switch to February once we get into the modes of February, but Monday, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. And then it will, I think, move, and once again into February, it will move to, I think, Sundays at 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So saw the first episode, really good focus on all aspects of the student band experience, not only about Prairie View, but at a typical HBCU, because there are going to be some issues that and commonalities across all band students. So I'm glad they didn't just focus on the band aspect. They focus on the lives of these young individuals. They focus on the culture. They focus on the uniqueness of the band. So very good. If you get a chance, please check it out. You don't have to be a Prairie View fan. Be a band fan. Be a HBCU band fan. So again, right now, 8 to 9 on Mondays, and once we get into February, it'll move to 9 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. The March is the name of the show.
Good deal. Good deal. I want to get into some more conference churning. Man, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Yeah, I saw you.
GCAC.
GCAC punches back. Dr. Kiki Barnes punches back a little bit too. They extended membership to Oakwood University, Wiley College, and Southern University. Yeah, that is Oakwood University now. It used to be Oakwood College for a lot of folks. What's intriguing to me, obviously, now the GCAC goes to 8 members, maintains their automatic bid to postseason play in terms of the NIA with at least basketball, women's basketball, some of the other sports where they have a minimum of 6. But if you recall, it was Xavier, and they left, but they went to the Red River Athletic Conference that they felt was more conducive. Obviously, the HBCUs that were in that conference are Houston-Tillotson, Jarvis Christian College. They're seeking to become Jarvis Christian University. That's Houston-Tillotson University. You have Paul Quinn College, right? You have Texas College. And you used to have Wiley College. Wiley College, as you heard from the announcement, has left the Red River Athletic Conference into the GCAC. So it's almost like Xavier University and Wiley College flipped. So I thought that was fascinating from that perspective. Obviously, Langston at one time used to be in the Red River Athletic Conference. And they left some time ago as they joined mostly other Oklahoma universities in the Sooner Athletic Conference. And so it's interesting when you talk about this churning and regionalization and things of that nature, that you have schools like North Carolina A&T, which is the largest HBCU, following the model that you see oftentimes at the NAIA level in terms of the regionality, in terms of smaller private HBCUs. So that's fascinating that you see that, but now you see a flip to some degree with Wiley College moving back. So I want to shout out to the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, what is now a conference that includes all HBCUs and doesn't necessarily get the shout out that we often see with SWAC, MEAC, SIAC, CIAA. And they got a big one. When you do those kind of moves, that's big, big. Obviously, Southern University, New Orleans is big to hear them in terms of the conference, because as you remember, there was some struggle as they dropped sports. Now they brought the sports back, and now they've joined or rejoined, if you would, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. And Oakwood University that had dipped down to Division II for some while, Division III, I should say, also associated with the private association, but now they decide to get in and fill out their NIA application, and it looks like they'll be moving to the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. I did want to ask you, Charles, what are your thoughts on that a little bit?
Well, they get their presence back in the state of Texas with Wiley coming back into the fray, and Oakwood as well. So it looks like from a geographic standpoint, those schools coming into the GCAC, they fit, and you look to see what they bring to that conference.
Mike, any thoughts from yourself on that?
No, it's a very strategic move. So with Wiley joining in, as CB put it, and with Oakwood coming in, they have more of a presence in kind of the Texas area, the Red River area. So I think proving this is more of a formality. But I think it's a great strategic move for the GCAC, but it serves as an example as to how conferences are now approaching league expansions. I think it kind of gives you kind of an idea in terms of the factors they're looking at. Are they looking at regionality? what's the focus? So it may be different for some conferences, but this is one more example. They're looking at regionality. They may be looking at travel. They may be looking at market fit. They may be looking at what schools fit within the frame of their conference. So I think it's a great move for the GCAC. I think it's a strategic move.
You mentioned punchback, Dr. Camille.
Yeah, I meant that because from the standpoint is like, I know Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes was shocked in a lot of ways when Xavier made the move. It wasn't quite as open, and not to say that you have to be there. So the fact that not that she was looking to do that, but that you get into somebody else's backyard in a conference that obviously Xavier thought was a better fit for whatever reason, as Mike puts out there. But then you have the vice versa, where Wiley College sees that it's a better fit to go to Gold Coast Athletic Conference. It's interesting. One of the backstories I tell the people to always think about that, yes, a lot of this is important about some of the factors that Mike talks about. And certainly what I bring to the table when you look at conference expansion in terms of regionality, if that's what you're looking at. Cultural fit is another one, obviously. Academics is a fit. But oftentimes it boils down to the president and the board, more so the president. Because oftentimes, if there's a good relationship with the board essentially ratifies what direction the president wants to make for their or her or his strategic plan in terms of where the university is doing. And if you follow NAIA and the presidents that are associated with Dillard, Xavier, a lot of those presidents have a great relationship in clusters. So I'm intrigued to see how the relationship between Dr. Kimbrough at Dillard University, even though he's leaving, may have played a role in terms of the president of Wiley College. They have a very good working relationships, along with the president, Dr. Smothers, that's over there at Arkansas Baptist, in Arkansas up there. So it's fascinating when you start thinking about those relationships, what are they looking like? So I'm very intrigued about how that moves forward in some of those case studies when you look and see what's going on. And I meant Philando Smith is what I was referencing when I was talking about Arkansas. So with that being said, I'm going to jump back to you, Charles. Any other news that you wanted to share out there?
Yeah, let's take a look at the basketball weekly honors here in the SWAC. We'll start on the women's side of the ball. The SWAC is tabbed Alabama A&M's Jariana Lewis and Jackson State's Amisha Williams-Holiday for SWAC women's basketball weekly honors for their outstanding performances. Let's take a look. Player of the week, Jariana Lewis had back-to-back dominating double-double performances this past week against Texas Southern. She scored 26 points while collecting 18 rebounds. Against Prairie View, she contributed 27 points for the Lady Bulldogs while tallying 10 rebounds. So for the week, she averaged 26.5 points per game along with 14 rebounds. And the impact player of the week was Amisha Williams-Holiday, dominated under the basket, back-to-back double-double performances while shooting 62% from the field, averaging 21.5 points per game and 10.5 rebounds for Jackson State in victories over Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. So those were your players of the week on the women's side of the SWAC and impact players of the week.
Why'd you have to say against Prairie View? You threw emphasis and be like, against Prairie View. You just had to you threw emphasis on that. I'm sorry.
My bad.
I do want to get into some.
I didn't catch it.
I was like, ouch, that hurt. I know they're not doing well, but man, did you you were like against Prairie View. I was like, man.
So, Charles, you did the women's. Mike, you have the men?
Yeah, but
are you want to let Charles jump in and get the men as well?
I'll go ahead and get the men.
Since he's on a roll and he's able to.
Yeah, since you on a roll.
Well, watch this.
You on a roll.
SWAC men's basketball weekly honors. The SWAC has tapped Prairie View A&M's Juwan Daniels.
Nice.
That's why I wanted him to do it. That's why I wanted him to do it.
And Southern Terrell Williams Jr. for SWAC men's basketball weekly honors for their outstanding performances this past week. Let's take a look at the player of the week, Juwan Daniels. He helped lead Prairie View past Alabama A&M with a game-high 30 points Monday as Prairie View won the contest in spectacular fashion, 72-48. He also had a key double-double contributor for Prairie View versus Alabama State, tallying 10 points and 6 rebounds. for the week, averaged 20 points to go along with 6.5 rebounds. And the in-play player of the week, Terrell Williams Jr., 17.5 points per game over the past 2 contests as Southern with wins over UAPB and Mississippi Valley. Get this, he was 14 to 17 from the field over that 2-game span while helping the Jags remain in first place in the conference standing. So shout out to those 2 guys for player of the week and impact player of the week. The Southern Jaguars, they're playing some basketball right now.
Great point. Before we get in this break, I did want to talk about North Carolina A&T track and field.
That was my point.
Indoor. That's what you wanted to say out there?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring out some track and field.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about spring sports here, but it's not just about basketball. The United States Track and Field Cross Country Association released its first national poll of the season for men's and women's NCAA division track and field on Monday. The North Carolina A&T men's indoor team debuted by earning its 2nd highest ranking ever as the 4th ranked team in the nation. And I saw this in some of the chats. So the indoor men debuted last season at number 2. The women debuted the poll ranked number 33. On the men's side, the University of Texas is the top ranked team, followed by Kentucky, Texas Tech, and North Carolina A&T, and Northern Arizona. A&T secured its 4th ranking by having 5 top rankings, led by Junior Randolph Jr.'s top ranking in the 400 meters. Ross Jr. ran the fastest time globally on January 14th at the University of Clemson. So, I mean,
he's talented.
I can just stop right there. I can just stop right there.
That's amazing. Now you said this is actually the highest ranking, getting up to 4th ranked team in the nation. That is incredible and amazing. With that being said, let me give a shout out before we go to this break and get into the second quarter. We have Sherman Miller, Lonnie Shaw, Chuck Hunt out here getting it in. Kevin Crawford, Juan C. Hill, I should say, says, "What's up, Doc?" No doubt about it. Willie Alex Hines in the building. Who else we got in here? Noel Price, G Boom Holly, always in here checking us out. George Walker, Anthony Mackey, Santora Black, Fred Whitted, Edwin Dwight Moore, Christopher Darrell. I see y'all. We're in here deep. Karen Griffin, as always. Appreciate it.
Matt Bradford. I see you in there, Matt.
Eric Evans. The lab is on fire tonight. Appreciate it. Let's get into this break and we'll bring right back so we can dig into some of this basketball play. Man, it was an incredible weekend. Big time games and big time shots. Multiple shots that go down to the buzzer on Saturday. Man, it was incredible. If you were in the building at any of those places, let's get into it. We'll take this break and we'll be right back into our second quarter.
Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language. And she really loves her grandson. Like really loves.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
With Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop. Let's get into some of the basketball. And we're going to start with the Division I, and we're going to start with the women's. Shiver is not dead. Let's go to the Big South, and we're going to talk both a little bit about North Carolina A&T Aggies, the Lady Aggies, as they're in action tonight. And we're going to also talk about Hampton in terms of what's going on over there in the play over there. When you look at what took place in terms of Saturday, man, Aggies on a 2-game win streak. Got it done over Winthrop and really beat them up pretty good there, 87-64. So after starting out slow in the conference, Jamani Ingram, for example, put up 18 points in terms of Winthrop, but it was Sarika McNeil that put up 26 points, giving them the business, going 10-19 to help the Aggies get it done in that matchup. So as I said, they have a 2-game win streak, but they improved to 2-3 in the conference. Sitting in the middle of it, if not towards the bottom, but playing basketball pretty good of late. Got a chance to really make a statement tonight. We'll see what that looks like as they are 5-10 overall. Hampton is a little better at 2-2, but they on a 2-game losing streak. So they're struggling a little bit there, which included on Saturday a loss to High Point, which was 71-45. Taking care of business, obviously. Madison Buford was 4-14 for just 13 points to let you know how they kind of struggled in those kind of matchups. And then you got the fact that you have some of these COVID matches, so they're playing a lot of games. Then they come back on Monday in terms of what happened earlier yesterday as they lose to Campbell, 69-51. So struggling a little bit after starting off 2-0. They fall 2 straight, 2-2. Let me go to you, Charles, first, and just what are your thoughts on Aggies Hampton in terms of what they're getting done on the women's side in the Big South?
Yeah, big game for the Lady Aggies Saturday. And you talk about Shannon Scott coming off the bench, 18 points and 14 rebounds, nice double-double. Hampton is the head scratcher for me. They could not find the rim for nothing over the past couple of games. When you talk about only scoring 45 points against High Point, a team that was only 3-2 in the Big South, and then they weren't in the game against Campbell either. So tough stretch that for the Lady Pirates over the past weekend.
Yeah, Lady Pirates are 5-2 at home, but they're struggling at just 1-6 on the road. 6-8 overall, so they're in the mix in terms of being able to do it. But they're in the middle of it. They're in the 6th spot right now, 2 ahead of A&T, but obviously behind 5 teams. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of Hampton and A&T, what they're getting done in the Big South on the women's side?
Well, if you look at it offensively, North Carolina A&T is scoring about 65 points a game. The leading team in the league, I think, in terms of scoring, I think is Longwood. They're scoring 68. Hampton is scoring 57, but they're allowing their opponents to score 60, 61. So there's a defensive problem there. The also problem with Hampton, is stated they've lost 2. They have, really only a couple scorers. Nyla Young, who's averaging 14 points a game, and I believe Madison Buford, who's playing really well. North Carolina A&T, on the other hand, has 2 or 3 players that are playing really well. Jasmine Harris, of course, averaging 12 points a game. And then, of course, you have Shannon Scott, who's averaging, 14 points a game. And they have a couple of others, Sharika McNeil, who are stepping up to the plate. But if you look at scoring, you have more scoring on the North Carolina A&M team. They're more competitive. That's why they're in the middle of the pack, whereas, you kind of scratch your head, as CB alluded to, and wonder what's going on, particularly on the defensive side.
Let's shift to the OVC Tennessee State. They split their Thursday-Saturday matchup. They lost their last contest, which was really the big one, to Austin Peay, because they sit tied with them at 5-2, but they lose that head-to-head tiebreaker and pushes them out of that spot where they've been right there with Belmont if they got it done. So it was really tough. I got to see that game, a lot of it. And while they got a big victory over Southeast Missouri State, 68-53, it was Saturday where they were leading for the majority of that game until late in the game, and then kind of went back and forth. Austin Peay was able to get it done late in the contest as they win that game 72-69. So that threw me off a little bit when you talk about that. But that's what's going on in terms of what you look much of the OVC. Let's get into the MEAC a little bit more in terms of what took place. So there's some big matchups, big games that were going on in terms of that Saturday split. Obviously, we came in there looking to see what Norfolk State was going to do. To some degree, wanted to see what Morgan State. In terms of Saturday, you got Norfolk State beating up on Coppin State 71-60, big win there. Morgan State was 67 to 61 over Howard. Some people may have thought a little upset there, but then you had that game on Monday where you had the Morgan State, Norfolk State. Norfolk State got it done, winning by 12, 64-52. So when you look at the standings in terms of what's going on in the MEAC, you have Norfolk State sitting at 3-0, 7-7. That probably doesn't surprise many people. But South Carolina State sitting at 3-0 in the conference, 3-14 overall. So there are 3 games that they won in the conference, and they're sitting tied with Norfolk State. So credit to South Carolina State as they are getting it done in conference. They had a big win over Maryland Eastern Shore. That was on the road, 54-50. And then on Monday, they follow it up with a victory over Delaware State, 53-48. So those teams that are struggling, they found a way to get it done against them. So it puts them at 3-0. So fascinating to see what's going on there. Let me start with you, Mike. Any thoughts in terms of the MEAC race, looking at the women there?
I think Maryland Eastern Shore is a surprise to me. You look at the race, I still think it's wide open game, but Maryland Eastern Shore, I mean, you look at their, they're leading across the board in a couple of areas. So I wonder if they're out for the count. They 63 points a game. Morgan State's averaging 61. And then you look at, top defenses, it's the same 3. It's Morgan State, Norfolk State, and Maryland Eastern Shore. So you wonder when it comes to tournament time, who's going to really rise above and really, show, what they're made of. The other stat along the line is kind of, rebounding and field goals. So yeah, you got to look at it. Maryland Eastern Shore, field goal percentage, they're at 43%. And then, there's a couple of stats where they're up. So I don't think we went into this season expecting that from the Maryland Eastern Shore women's basketball team. That's the one big surprise, at least to this point in the season.
I want to get your thoughts on that, Charles. Morgan State over Howard. A little bit of upset to me, 67-61. So they said 2-1. Did that give you any pause, or was some other games that you were looking at more?
South Carolina State, that's the one that kind of jumps out for me. They come into conference play, 0-14, and all of a sudden they're 3-0 in conference play. They could come out and get a nice win over Delaware State this past Monday. But you talk about Jaya Hicks. She hit all of her 3-point shots. She got hot. They out-rebounded the Hornets 50-39. So you take your hat off to South Carolina State. They bear watching going forward. Like I said, 0-14 coming into conference play, but you get off to a hot start in conference play. Like you said, tied right there with Norfolk State, right up there at the top of the division.
Do we think South Carolina State's going to make the distance, though? That's one question.
But we can celebrate them where they are. I mean, we'll get a chance. We're going to follow week to week. But I understand what you're saying. Don't get too sad. It's not going to last too long. I got it.
It's a data point. It's a data point.
Let's go over here to the SWAC. before we get into the men and get into this break, but I did want to make sure that Jackson State, I'm just amazed. I know it's becoming apparent. It's just what they do, but still, they take on Bethune-Cookman and say, okay, get it done, 82-49. Monday, you get those Monday concerns, as Charles likes to talk about on the road. They go in the FAMU. It's like, all right, a little bit of rival here, at least in football, certainly not on women's basketball, because it's 90-34. Let me say that again, 90-34. When you break it down, they had 2 quarters where they only scored 7 points. As you go deep in the game, usually, you start putting the subs in, somebody's able to score. It didn't work. It didn't hum just to make sure they showed you that they were serious. In the second quarter, they only allowed 8. The first quarters, when they were just getting warmed up, they gave them 12. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like this in a long time, especially in terms of a conference race. I'm just amazed. You got to give some shout out to Jackson State in terms of what they're getting done. Obviously, Southern is right there, 61. They're winning quietly, but, it's impressive. I mean, you just got to put it out there. It's impressive. Women's, men's basketball, that's impressive.
Wake up the echoes of Sadie McGee, Shirley Walker. I'm telling you what Jackson State's head basketball coach, Tamika Reed, is doing with this program. It's nothing short of phenomenal. They had a 30-point third quarter, and then they locked down FAMU for only 7 points. I mean, you take a look at it.
Say that again. FAMU scored how many total points? 34? And they had a 30-point quarter.
Jackson State had a 30-point quarter in the third quarter, and they held FAMU to only 7 points in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. I mean, when they lock you down, they lock you down. So it was a Monday night statement, if you will, something to help the football guys. Hey, we did it. Your turn next. One of those type things. So I tell you what, it's very impressive, and what Misha Williams-Holiday is able to do night in, night out, double machine. Deja Rogan knocking shots down. They get bench support as well. They're just a total team package. It'll be very worth watching. Deja Rogan twisted her ankle a little bit in that Monday night matchup. We'll see how her health is going forward, but it should be very interesting. They have been a dominant 7-0 start.
Man, you talking about just looking for somebody to twist their ankle. You beat people by 50 points, whatever. You got plenty of time to get well. I mean, you're right. But let's look at some of the other teams that I go to you, Mike. It's interesting to me because you had Alabama A&M. They did really well on this Texas road trip. They won 2 straight. Alabama State did the opposite. They lost 2 straight. Grambling quietly has won 3 straight games. Pine Bluff, as we thought they righted the ship, they've lost 2. So PV split, including their loss to Alabama A&M in all these close games, and Texas Southern split. So look what you have after you get past Jackson State and Southern. You have Alabama State, Alabama A&M, and Grambling is 4-3. Not finished yet, because you have Pine Bluff, Prairie View, and Texas Southern all sitting at 4-4. So it's a glut in terms of the middle of the road there. And obviously at the bottom you have 1-4 Alcorn. Actually 1-5 as they forfeited that game. 1-6 Bethune-Cookman, and 1-7, if you would, Valley. So struggling noticeably different, and even FAMU sitting at 3-4 right there, even though they got beat, they're least in there to some degree. What are you saying about the SWAC in terms of women, Mike?
Well, again, there's parity. I want to see that January 31st matchup between Southern and Jackson State.
It's gonna be good.
That should be a good one.
Where is that game?
That's in Jackson. That's in Jackson.
Yeah, so, try to sell me on it. Mike. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah. What Jackson State is doing is, man, I think this last game they had 35 points coming off the bench, bench. 55 of their points coming in the paint. They had 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 players in double figures. There has been no team, probably except Southern in a few games, that has done that, have that many players in double figure. That shows depth. That'll be important going into it. So there is Jackson
Especially
State.
when Charles want to talk about somebody turning an ankle.
Yeah. So there's Jackson State. There's Southern, you may be good, and then there's the rest of the field.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, I know he gonna sell me on this rivalry. I believe in the rivalry, but Coach gonna have these women focused. I don't want to hear all that.
Yes, she will. Yeah. She will. I give you that. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, but it's entertaining. If they can keep it close for half, I'm in it. But I don't buy it right now. I think we need to start recognizing what Jackson State is doing in terms of this particular year, this part of history is something that we need to recognize. We're over on it, but great comments. So I wanted to get it in, particularly for the women. They need more shine. So that's why I wanted to make sure we put that focus. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into the third quarter. We'll talk about the men after this quick break.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah. Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah. And who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
Your sharpshooter, who put it on the floor and pull up for a deep three. Punch that what he does, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Brown, say it with your chest, Dan Brown. Your sharpshooter, who put it on the floor and pull up for a deep three. Punch that.
This is Dr. Cavill inside HBCU Sports Lab. Man, if you're not watching HBCU basketball, it's on you. It's your fault. You can fall in love with all this other stuff you want. Man, you talking about some big-time games, big-time matchups. I take, for those who don't realize, we got floor seats. Deuce and I, that's my son, 7-year-old. So he's spoiled. He sits in the suite also for both Texas Southern games, courtesy of the VP of Collegiate Athletics, Kevin Granger. And then at Prairie View, he has a suite there too. And he thinks he owns it. He understands hashtag sweet life. You can ask Mike. He will tell Mike, that's his chair, that's his space. He got a space outside, COVID, everything. So he's in the air. Whether it's cold out there, he having stuff on. If it's warm, he out there. He got his band gear stuff together, hat, whatever that I allow him to take in there. And he sits in a certain chair. He asks food to be brought to him. I'm like, man, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. I hope you understand what you got going on. So we at the game. His mom, Alabama A&M, bless her heart, she's the president of the Houston chapter. And so he's like, I got to get to mom. She says she's at the game. So he's rushing. So we leave. So I'm watching this on the video. I just literally park in Texas Southern for coming from Prairie View. And the shot comes off. He's like, what was that? I say he hit the shot. So he's like, oh, he's all over the place in the back of the truck. He said, let's go, let's go. We come into Texas Southern. They just beating down on Alabama A&M. So it's crazy up there. There's also a big shot against A&T. We're going to start with the Big South. Campbell did in A&T in terms of big shot. So they're not showing them much love in terms of the Big South. Tough weekend when you talk about A&T. Tough weekend. Let's start with that. Hampton gets a big win over High Point. Overtime, 68-64 thriller there. A&T looks like they're going to get it done at home. Corbett Center, as they talk about, right? Club Corbett. Campbell says not so fast. Tough loss because you were looking at that they were going to be able to maybe put in position against that game against Longwood to make it go down for the division championship. They go to 2. Longwood is undefeated. They lose to Campbell on the shot. It's quiet in there. Listen to it. Yeah. I watched. So that's the one thing I will say about having HBCUs in these multiple conferences is you have them playing over different days. So you have a chance to watch more games traditionally than I watched. So that happened on Saturday. You had Hampton lose big to Longwood. So that's the indication of maybe what's going on with Longwood is they look serious in terms of the business of the Big South. Hampton dropped 73-49. So Hampton is struggling quite a bit in many different ways, as you talk about. So in the standings, you have North Carolina A&T at 4-2, in conference race behind Longwood, which is 4-0, and Hampton is at the bottom, sitting at 1-4. A&T is at 9-11 overall, while Hampton is just 5-11. Starting with you, Mike, general thoughts on the Big South, big time games, buzzer, not beater, since we're looking at North Carolina A&T, the HBCU to lose at home, heartbreak hotel.
Yeah, it's kind of a heartbreaker because Longwood is a top team. I think they're 10-1 overall right at home, but 3-4 on the road. You had a chance to maybe beat them on the road. They're 5-0 in the Big South, so this was a chance. I didn't see the shot, but I looked at kind of the prologue, the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Clean. It was clean, Mike. It was clean.
Yeah, I didn't see the shot, but man, A&T had they had a shot, but unfortunately, no, they didn't. So Hampton,
no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. So Hampton, 1-4. I don't know what to think of them because. I mean,
we can leave Hampton out there later. They went over to CA. Maybe they can resurrect themselves over there because the Big South is not showing them any love as they exit out the building. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of Big South?
Yeah,
29-game home win streak up in smoke. So wow, you just got to take your hats off to them. Those buzzer beaters in college basketball, they are what they are. They rip your heart out, but. Kudos to Campbell going into a hostile environment and getting a W. 29, that's nothing to sneeze at. A&T, they're going to have to work on building that back up again. But for one night, that mystique was broken.
Yep.
Yeah, great point as you make there in terms of that. Let's go into OVC, Tennessee State. Just staying at 500. They lost to Southeast Missouri State 85-63. This is after they had beat them early, but they get trounced in this rematch, if you would. But then they get a big victory over Austin Peay. A close one, 65-61. So they get it done in terms of what's going on there. So then they lose to Moorhead on Monday. Makeup game, if you would, because they traditionally, again, play that Thursday, Saturday slot. So that's a lot of tired legs, and Morehead State is playing pretty solid. They lose at 67-54. So you look at Tennessee State, they sit at 3-5, 8-12 overall, just can't shake it and put a couple of games together in a row in terms of what's going on there. So let's get into the MEAC a little more in terms of what was some big matchups. I was excited going into these matchups in terms of what we were going to see in the MEAC. Norfolk is who we thought they were, if you allow me to use it, Frankie. They get it done. Solid contest, good games though, but they win at home. Norfolk State on Saturday over Coppin State, 84-77. Quietly, North Carolina Central is winning, 73-49 over Delaware State. Big solid wins. South Carolina State back winning again over Maryland Eastern Shore, 69-60. Then you had a big one, Howard and Morgan State, 91-82. Talk a little bit about Howard as they give up a 26-point deficit and allow Coppin State to get it done at the end, winning 83-81. Another heartbreak, especially when you're up like that and you see it coming down and just like nothing you can do. You just need one play here and there, and don't worry about how many points you up. You find a way and get the W, fine. North Carolina Central, as I told you, they continue to win, 75-63 over Maryland Eastern Shore. South Carolina State got it done over Delaware State, 64-62. But the big one was Norfolk State beating up a Morgan State, 82-62. It was closer for most of the game, but you could tell the legs got tired for the Bears. They were out a couple of players for COVID, and so tough loss there, but you got to give credit to Norfolk. They just found a way to get it done. So, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of these MEAC matchups on the men's side?
The one that stuck out for me was Coppin State and Howard. Coppin State fighting back and getting that win. Howard, they've shown me what I thought to be a pretty good team. But you talk about this stat line, Doc. Ty Corbett, 25 points, 22 rebounds, 11 offensive rebounds, 11 defensive rebounds. One of them old Charles Oakley stat lines from back in the day. But you talking about being a monster against Howard. He had a huge game. Big win for Coppin State, 3-1 in conference play this far.
Yeah, so Mike, Norfolk State sitting at 5-0, got a little cushion there. They're 7-0 at home, so it's a tough place. If you're gonna get them, you better get them at your place. They're 14-4 overall, which is solid. You just don't see those kind of records this early in the season in Division I basketball. They've won 5 straight, but you have North Carolina Central sitting at 2-0. They won 2 straight games. They're 8-9, 4-0 at home themselves. So I'm interested in that matchup. Coppin State is quietly at 3-1, 4-15 overall as they won a game. But then we said keep your eyes on South Carolina State. Very intriguing team. It started out 0-2. They won 2 straight, so they're sitting at 6-2, 10-10 overall. So intriguing to see what's going on there. One that you want to keep your eyes on Howard. They're playing really good. They're sitting at 1-2. They lost those close matchups. Mm-hmm. Those, to me, a team that you want to be careful from because they're talented and their record is not showing it in terms of conference play. But you go in there and you're not taking them well, they might beat you up. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, let me start backwards. You said South Carolina State. They are playing good, but they have key losses to Morgan State and Coppin State.
Yeah.
Convincing losses. So I take them with a grain of salt. It's Norfolk State right now and everybody else. Howard, you mentioned itself, close losses, but it's still Norfolk State. 7-0 at home. You might have a chance if they're on the road. They're leading in at least 4 or 5 of the top statistics, at least year to date. So it's Norfolk State, maybe North Carolina Central, and then everybody else has a puncher chance. Howard, I need to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you get a point. I tried to set it up and maybe get some love out there, but I think you're right when you just talk about when you really break it down and look at it. It's Norfolk State. Do they stub their toe? I still want to see that North Carolina Central and Norfolk State matchup. You know, these are teams that are perennial winners, and they don't like each other, so they're going to fight hard at each other. And the more games you see Central play, I think the better they're going to come together. Obviously, you got to remember they had the big layoff, so it's kind of hard to see exactly where they are. And you're right, they're getting it done against teams at the bottom, but that doesn't mean that they can't get better. So I'm fascinated to see what that. Let's jump over here to the SWAC and really look in terms of what's going on here. When you talk about these matchups, look at some of the scores here. to give you some indication what's going on the men's side before you get into records. FAMU over Alcorn State 70-68. At that time, Alcorn had lost 2 straight. You had Grambling over Valley 68-64. Bethune-Cookman over Jackson 55-50. Prairie View over Alabama State 70-67. Again, that was a buzzer beater, just like the FAMU over Alcorn was a buzzer beater. You have Southern over Arkansas Pine Bluff 99-51. Southern is putting up a lot of points.
Yeah.
Texas Southern gets done against Alabama A&M 78-44. Then on Monday, you have your flip. You have FAMU defeating Jackson State 67-64. Quietly, FAMU is winning some ball games. You had Alcorn State get right the ship. Close one though against Bethune-Cookman as they win it 70-67 to hold on to get it done there. Texas Southern got a big fighting matchup against Alabama State. They're playing a lot of basketball. They lost 2 in Texas, but both of those matchups were really close, 73-67. Southern outdoes themselves. They put up 99 on Saturday. They said, why not? Let's go for 100. They get it done against Valley, 172. Prairie View beats up on Alabama A&M 70-48. It wasn't that close. At one time in that game was 44-14. I don't know what's going on with Alabama A&M. They were playing better early, but they lost their way. Grambling over Arkansas Pine Bluff 76-65. That's the matchup. Sticking with you, Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of what's going on in the SWAC?
Don't look now, but there's like 3 teams that are 5-2 or 5-3. And then there's like another bunch that are, either 4-4 or 3-4. What's that tell you? Parity in the league, at least on the men's side for the SWAC. The Southern is for real. I think that they have two, they've won 4 out of their last 5. Their only loss was a snap up to Grambling in Grambling. And so, Southern is coming to play. They're leading the SWAC in all these statistics. But Prairie View's moved up in the middle of the conference now. Texas Southern's coming to play. Grambling's coming to play, and they can beat a team on any given night. So there's parity in the league right now. Southern has the ups. Grambling has three wins against Pine Bluff, Southern, and Mississippi Valley. I'll throw the Valley out because Valley. We talking about that. Valley's 1 in a million right now in the SWAC. So we'll throw that one out. But you look at what Grambling's done. You got to watch out there. There's 4 or 5 teams that could really come up and snatch this thing once you get to the conference. What I'm looking for is bench strength, overall bench, and who can survive these COVID postponements. It's kind of like a game of attrition, but also competition on any given night. Those are the 2 data points I'm looking at as we go through the season.
To your point, obviously, Prairie View on the men's side is the only one that had to deal with the COVID, the forfeit. They did those first 2 games. One of them was against Southern, and the other one was against top-ranked Alcorn State playing basketball. So it's not like they couldn't have won those games, but it's interesting. But speaking of a team, they have won 3 straight. They do have that loss to Valley. When you talk about Valley with the win, they have that loss. Coach Smith wasn't coaching in the game, so Prairie View is going to be just intriguing to me. Just watch what they're going on. But talking about Grambling, they've won 3 straight, sitting at 5-2. One of those teams you mentioned, along with Alcorn sitting at 5-2. They did rebound, get the win, but they had lost 2 straight. So it's fascinating there. And by the way, FAMU, one of the teams that did beat Jackson, they won 5 straight after losing the first 2. They said they're 5-2. So Charles, you pointed your finger. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Fighting LeBrons. They won 5 in a row. You talk about MJ Randolph and Keith Littles. They're getting it done over there for FAMU. MJ Randolph. Right. Yeah, he's one of the leading scorer, I believe, in the SWAC. But tough weekend for the Alabama schools. You take a look at Alabama A&M. Very much expecting more from them and out of the Texas 2-step. The rim was a mystery this weekend for Alabama A&M. Alabama State, tough loss at Prairie View on Saturday night, and then even tougher loss. They never could quite get into it against Texas Southern. They kept nipping at the heels, but never could get over the hump. And your emotions kind of boiled over a little bit for Alabama State Saturday night. Coach Mo Williams got kicked out. They had another player that was ejected. So just a frustrating weekend for Alabama State. But shout out to Florida A&M. They got it. They got something rolling over there. And then Texas Southern. That was the physicality of Prairie View and Texas Southern. That's something that I'm going to keep an eye on as we move further into February and getting into March. Bryson Gresham, he's only going to get better. 11.16 rebounds with Alabama State, but he's a rebounding machine, and they're physical. They're physical, buddy. So it's going to be interesting watching both of those Texas teams moving forward because we know they kick it into another gear once we get into mid to late February.
I love the points you're making. Thursday, we'll get into fact to basically talk about closing out the first half of the season. Can you believe it? Yes, you'll have 9 games in after Monday when we come back and talk to you on that following Tuesday. But we'll get a chance on this Thursday to go in and talk about some of these key matchups, which are going to be fascinating because you have some rivalry games with Texas Southern and Prairie View down there on the hill. And then you have the Alcorn Southern game. So that's going to be fascinating. Somebody is going to get another loss. So it's going to get a chance to really either bungle back up or Southern gets a chance to maybe make a statement and say, yeah, y'all keep focused on everybody else, but we're doing what we're doing. And we're going to close out this first half of the season.
Better
really
get
tight.
a hand on Jaden Sadler. You better get a hand on Jaden Sadler.
I'm really interesting and see what goes on after this first matchup. So we'll get into a little more of that on Thursday to give you some keys to look at some of the key matchups coming up this Thursday, Saturday, and Monday in terms of all these Division I HBCUs. And then we'll also give you some updates in terms of the NIA, SIAC, CIAA. We'll get in there and give you a little matchup in terms of what's going on there. Had some big games over there as well as you start to see some teams separate themselves in the NIA and at the Division II level in those respective conferences. That'll do it for us in terms of the games going on here. I did want to shout out, so we talk about SIAC, Kentucky State, Albany State in terms of the men's volleyball. Kentucky State earns their first win ever. Also saw that programs in there, so it's fascinating to see getting it done on the volleyball, getting some good information out there. Limelight for the SIAC, fascinating a little bit there. Thank you for listening Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. What you want to say there, Charles?
Yeah, National Signing Day right around the corner next Tuesday.
You just gonna throw that out there like that. You just gonna throw that out there like that, right?
We got 2 shows before that comes out, but yeah, have everybody look for it, see what that looks like. Whoa! I am Dr. Yadaville, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in College of HBCU Sports.
He gonna throw that a little out there.
Yeah, with Mike Watson.
He know what he's doing.
To all the lab listeners, I see y'all getting in there and getting the shout out. Keep it going. Appreciate you joining us. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Mills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 6. So come back. We'll be in Thursday. We'll talk about those key matchups as we close out the first half of the SWAC. We'll get into the MEAC as well as Big South and OVC in terms of Hampton, North Carolina A&T, and Tennessee State. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. We look forward to you continue to check us out. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1, that is on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Dismiss.